Hi kids, it's Mrs. Fravel. How are you? Good. Or I'm sorry, that stinks. Hey, I'm fine. Guess what? We're back in school this week. Hopefully they've opened us back up. But if you are still working from home, no problem. I got you covered. This week we are going to talk about the next phylum in the animal kingdom. Last week we talked about phylum Porifera. Now we're going to move on, but what you should have done before starting this video is taken the phylum Porifera quiz on Canvas. There's a link there. You can use notes. You can retake it for a better score. Do your best. And then come back here and make sure you are ready to take notes on phylum Cnidaria. You'll need to take notes, make sure that you get all of the characteristics, their basic morphology and physiology, as well as the taxonomy. I'm going to cover all of that in here because we gotta move, we gotta go. Okay, so we're going to talk about phylum Cnidaria. This is the second phylum. And that's a fun word, Cnidaria. It starts with a C that is inaudible because it's a Greek word that it means that it's something to do with the stinging stuff. So these guys are siphonophores, jellies, corals, anemones, hydra, obelia. There's a bazillion of them. This is a very old group of animals. They've been around for half a billion years or so, and they have weathered every single mass extinction event on the planet and come back from those, and they are now facing another mass extinction event, and we're going to talk about that next time. Okay, so for today, let's just talk about their basic stuff. And here are the animals that we're talking about. And if you didn't know these are animals, surprise! These are animals. So, and they're beautiful and simple. Physiologically, they're so simple. They're just like a couple layers of tissue and some goo and some poison. But they can have really complicated life cycles and some behavioral biology as well that I'll talk about. Okay, so what are we talking about? Talking about anemones, we're talking about corals, jellies, sometimes also called jellyfish, back when anything that lived in the water was called a fish, but they are not fish, they are a cnidarian. And then siphonophores, which are super duper weird, and we'll talk about those, okay? And also hydra. I forgot to put hydra on there, but I'll talk about them. Okay. Here we go. Basic characteristics. If you find an animal and it has these things, it is a cnidarian. So these guys have radial symmetry. You know what that is because you did the animal candy lab. They have two tissue layers, but no organs. So they are one step up from a sponge, but not any more complicated than that. They're just two fairly thin tissue layers, sometimes literally two, like one layer of cell per tissue layer. They have an epidermis that covers the outer surface of their body and an epidermis that lines the inside of their gastrovascular cavity, which I'll talk about. And in between those two tissue layers, there's goo. They're full of goo. They're made of jelly, essentially. These guys, the defining characteristic, and this is a thing that you will need to make sure that you know about, is the cnidocyte. The group takes their name from this cell type that is found in their tentacles, on their tentacles, and these cells contain a very special, super cool organelle called the nematocyst. It's a microscopic poisonous harpoon that shoots out of their bodies and can poison prey and kill people. They're awesome. They use those cnidocytes both for protection and also for feeding. Okay? They have a digestive system that is incomplete. Here we go. Here's the sac-like incomplete gut. They have a single opening. Here's the manus, you guys, mouth, anus, everything goes in and comes out of the same opening on their oral surface. And yeah, sometimes it's super gross, I'm not gonna lie. They do have nerves. They have ganglia throughout their body, some of those epidermis and gastrodermis cells, and throughout the mesoglia, they are nerve cells. That's a loose net. They don't have a brain. They just can coordinate some very simple movements, okay? And then they do have light sensing cells. They don't have eyes, but they can sense light from dark. There are some genera that can, and one class, the box jellyfish, they can almost see shapes, and some jellies can see movement, but really it's mostly like it's daytime, nighttime, daytime, nighttime. If you know that reference, you're my favorite student. Okay, so make sure you know that all of these characteristics, this will be expected on your Prezi for the Cnidarian section, and also you will be responsible for these on tests and quizzes. Okay, all right. So Cnidarians have two different body forms that are the same but also not. So some Cnidarians are in a medusa form. More than one is medusae. Describing the form, we say it's medusal. So medusa. These are the free-swimming form of this group of animals, and they are constructed of a aboral surface, which we call a bell. Okay? And they have their tentacles that hang down surrounding that manus, thank you, Hank, opening. And then again, when you look at their body in a cutaway, you can see that they are super simple. They are a layer of cells that line the inside or the outside, that's the epidermis. They are a layer of cells that line the inside of their gastrovascular cavity, and then they have the goo, the mesoglia in between. So these guys on the medusa form, they swim in the open water. They have some power to steer and move through the water. They do not swim against currents in general. They're carried along and can move side to side or up and down in the current. The other body form is the polyp. The polyp is the sessile or attached form. These guys stand on this little body stalk, and they've got, it's also called a pedicel at the end, or a foot. So their oral surface points upward. Their aboral surface is attached at to the rocks or sand or a log or something, to a substrate. Okay? Again, mouth in the middle, manus, cutaway. You can see their gastrovascular cavity is kind of extensive in these guys, some of them. And again, that's where everything transference takes place. Okay. These guys do a lot of their respiration via their skin, also through their gastrovascular cavity. It's just straight carbon dioxide and oxygen exchange cell to cell with the water. Here's how most Cnidarians, all Cnidarians technically go through both of these phases in their life cycle. For some of them, it might be super short, and there are some that are either one or the other, but don't have both. But most Cnidarians either start life as a medusa and then they metamorphose into the polyp form as an adult, or vice versa. They start life as a polyp, pop off, metamorphose into a medusal form. Okay, here's how you're going to remember the forms of their body, because you have to remember which is which. Okay, I want you to put up your hand, and I don't care if I can't see you because you're at home. I want you to do that. We're going to be doing this in class. Put your hand up like this. Okay, your fingers are tentacles. You've got a mouth in the middle of your palm, a manus in the middle of your palm. For the medusal form, cock your wrist down. Okay, wiggle your tentacles and say the word medusa as you are wiggling your fingers. Say medusa. Good. Now go bloop, bloop. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Medusa. Bloop, bloop. All right. Good. And then polyp, put that hand up again, only this time I want you to bend your wrist backwards. Again, still mouth in the middle of your palm. Tentacles are now up. This is your body stalk. Your wrist is your body stalk and your pedicel. So you're going to wiggle it and say polyp. Everybody say polyp. Good. Okay. What's this one? Good. What's this one? Right. All right. So again, make sure that you know the difference between those, and also please pause me right now. I would like you to take a moment and draw these pictures, and then come back. I'll wait. Do 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 do. Are you back? Okay, make sure you drew those and you labeled aboral and oral surfaces, tentacles, the mouth. Okay. Do you need to pause me again? You good? Can I go? Okay. These guys reproduce sexually or asexually. So again, all animals can at some point in their life produce gametes, but cnidarians are also really good at cloning themselves. They just can split and make more. And this is how coral reefs grow. This is why coral reefs are so huge, is that each polyp, because corals are polyp form, they simply split in half and you've got 2 polyps. And then each of those split in half, you've got 4 polyps, okay? And that keeps going, and they're all, again, genetically identical, which is great. This is what that looks like in an anemone. So the split starts, essentially, the mouth kind of stretches out and then extends down their body wall, and they just split apart. I have an anemone in my tank that did that. I'll show you pictures of them, her, him, it. So they can do that. They can also asexually reproduce by budding. This is a hydrozoan, a hydra. And they just make new little babies off the side of them, kind of like sponges do with their gemmules. But these guys make little tiny ones off their side, and then they'll pop off and become their own separate clone, genetically identical other thing that runs away. And then, of course, we have sexual reproduction as well. They go through fertilization, zygote, blastula, gastrula. These guys are diploblastic. Hey, fun fact, I'm re-recording this video right now. I already did this video, but then I added some stuff, but I also said protostomic deuterostome. That's not even a thing. These guys are diploblastic, technically protostome, but since it's only one opening, diploblastic when they gastrulate. You should know all those words. If you didn't understand those words, go back to the first unit. Okay. All right. Once the embryo gastrula has started to divide, they turn into what's called a planula larva. And depending on their future adult self, they'll either settle out and become a polyp, and then if they are destined to spend their life as a medusa, or if the medusa is their reproductive stage, they will then pop off little medusa from the polyps, and those become the free swimming form. Okay, yeah, they could do it all. These are the coolest animals, you guys. I love them. Okay, so nematocysts and cnidocytes. So this again is the defining characteristic of this whole group, is this cell type called the cnidocyte. Inside of the cnidocytes, which are located on the tentacles, and that is a quiz question, where are they located? That's right, on the tentacles. They have inside of them this big organelle, technically, that's called the nematocyst. And what that is, it's a microscopic, very sharp harpoon that when the cell detects pressure, it will, on the cnidocyl, it will it'll pop the cell open and the nematocyst shoots out super fast. I wish I remembered how fast it was. It'll say in the video that you have to watch after this one, how fast they go, and then they will stick into the flesh of whatever is touching them and release toxins, neurotoxins. There are some cnidarians that can kill large animals, including humans. And if you've ever been snorkeling or scuba diving, and and in a coral reef, and you've ever come away with a rash, that means you brushed up against some coral, and that rash is cnidocytes. If you've ever been stung by or nematocysts, if you've ever been stung by a jelly out swimming in the ocean, that hurts. That's the nematocysts shooting poison into you. So always be careful in the ocean, you guys. Nature's brutal. Everything can kill you, but it's still awesome, right? Right. Okay. If you've never snorkeled in the ocean, I highly recommend it. All right, there is another video that I will link below this one. You guys have like 5 videos to watch. I will try to get done through this faster. Okay. All right. You'll need to take notes and upload those on the same note sheet and upload those as well. I can talk. It's the day before fall break and it's 2:15 and I've already recorded this one, so I'm fine. I'm fine. Let's keep going. Here we go. So now that was all of the morphology and physiology for the phylum. Now we're going to talk about the taxonomy of that phylum. We're going to talk about 4 classes and I'll talk about 2 genera within one of them. So classes of cnidarians. The first class is called Hydrozoa. This class includes siphonophores, Hydra, Obelia. Those are just 3 of the types. There's so many hydrozoans, and they're kind of, some of them are really weird. Let me put it that way. So siphonophores and Obelia are colonial. These guys are free floating. These guys are sessile and attached. Then we also have tiny little hydra that are solitary polyps. Okay, so hydrozoans, mostly they spend most of their life as a polyp form, either as a colony or as an individual. Just to sum that up, all that came out of my mouth. Okay. So let's talk about hydra really quickly. These are small freshwater hydrozoans. They are solitary polyps and they are native to temperate and tropical areas. I'm not sure if we have them here. I should look into that. Somebody go Google our hydra in Utah. Let's see what comes up. Tell me. I'll give you a sticker. Okay. These are pretty cool. There's several different species of them. They move a lot. They move a lot. I was going to insert a GIF here and I guess I forgot. So hopefully you're in class and can watch it. These guys move by tumbling. Let's watch that really quickly. Okay, so you can see this is, I'm not sure if it's time lapse. It's got to be time lapse. They don't move this quickly, but they do move a lot. Did you see how he did that? They sit on their pedestal, they sit on their foot, and then they'll bend their body over, stick their oral surface down, and flip their pedestal back over, and kind of tumble along that way. They're also really good at reaching out and grabbing prey. They'll grab fish and little Daphnia, stuff like that. Larval fish, mostly tiny things. Okay. All right. So these guys are good little squigglers. They also produce an antibacterial substance on their epidermis that protects them. This whole phylum, Cnidaria, scientists are now looking into a lot of the substances that these guys produce might be medicinal or biologically viable for use in human for different things. So this whole phylum of Cnidaria is quite fascinating and important to science. Okay, and then these guys they can retract into a little sphere when they are alarmed or attacked, and that's also true of the Anthozoa class, which I'll talk about in a sec. Okay, all right. So super cuties. Within the hydrozoans, and again, hydrozoa, these are within class Hydrozoa. Okay, siphonophores, these are super duper weird. Where am I? Coming up. So these guys are polyps that live in a colony. So science is still trying to decide, is it one animal or is it a bunch of animals that work together as one body? Probably the most famous one is the Portuguese man-o-war, and there's a video right there that you'll need to watch. I will link it under this one on the page. These guys, if you do happen to see them, if you're ever swimming in the Atlantic Ocean, if you see them either floating in the water or on the beach dead, stay away. No touchy. Ow, ow, ow. They can still, first of all, their tentacles can get super long, like 20 feet long, and they really hurt when they sting you. If you find one, any type of jelly you find on the beach, just don't touch, because even if they're dead, those nematocysts will still fire until they're completely dried out. So a dead jellyfish or a dead siphonophore can still sting you and do some damage. So that's Portuguese man-o-wars. And then, okay, the next class within phylum Cnidaria is Scyphozoa. These are the jellies or jellyfish. These guys live their adult life as medusae, and some of them get really, really, really big. There is a lion's mane jellyfish that they're enormous. Okay? They're actually, some of them are longer than a blue whale, but they don't weigh as much. So a blue whale is still technically the largest animal. Wow, that sun is coming in. Whew, right, hot, fine, I'm fine. These guys move through the open water. Again, they can't swim against a current, but they can swim in a current, and they can contract their bell to propel themselves around. Okay. Yeah, those are moon jellies, super pretty. And so within them, they've got this, on their epidermis, on the edge around their tentacles, they've got this this ring of kind of muscle-ish tissue that they'll contract. So they go bloop, bloop, bloop through the water. Okay. All right, there's a video about them. Go watch it. Then the third class within the phylum Cnidaria is class Cubozoa. These are scary, you guys. These are the soups, dangerous and scary jellies. They're tiny. They're called sea wasps or box jellyfish. A lot of them are little, super deadly. These guys produce a neurotoxin that can stop a human's heart within 5 minutes. So if you're ever swimming in Australia, always check the local box jellyfish report. These guys, they will find you because they can actually see shapes-ish. So they have almost eyes that can just determine light and dark shapes and movement, and they will actively go after anything that's moving in the water around them in case it is food. So be careful, sea wasps. They'll hurt you. And again, don't ever touch a jelly of any sort when you find it washed up on the beach. Okay, no touchy. Watch where you step. Okay. All right. The last class are my faves. This is class Amphizoa. These are sea anemones and corals and sea gorgonians, sea fans. Okay? These guys are either single or colonial. They spend their adult life as polyps. Most of them never have a medusal form, but they still can release planula that just settle and then grow into a new polyp. These guys, they attach to the substrate pretty powerfully. It's really hard to get an anemone or a coral off of a rock. You shouldn't ever try. We're going to talk more about class Amphizoa during the next class because right now they are probably the most important animal. I'm going to go ahead and make this bold statement. I think they're the most important group of animals on the planet right now, and they're in big trouble. And I want you to know about it. So the next time in class, we're going to talk all about what's going on with corals, coral reefs, and global warming or climate change. Okay, they do have the ability to move. They can retract if they are poked. Don't poke anemones and corals. That's just mean. And they can also walk. So there are a couple of videos there. I have a video of my personal anemone taking a walk. It was a super stressful 3 hours. But she did manage to walk about a foot across the back of my tank. And I have I'm going to make you watch it for 3 hours. No, it's time lapse, but I can't get it to embed in here. So you guys, but we're going to be in class. I'm going to make you watch it. Okay. So this anemone video will be posted below this one as well. Again, watch it, take notes. Whew. I think that's all. That's all. Other than I'm going to Gilderoy Lockhart right now for just a minute because I keep Cnidarians as pets. Specifically, I keep Amphizoans as pets because they're beautiful. I have a reef tank in my house, and if you don't see me, I'm standing in front of it staring at them, worrying about them and loving what they look like. This was my whole tank about a year ago. You can see I have big corals, that's an anemone, and then I have coral, and there's more on the other end of the tank. This end of the tank, looking side on, Duncan, Dragon's Eye Zoa, Hammerhead, and then then behind Hammerhead is these guys. This is my fish. He's not a Cnidarian. He's a fish. His name is Kenny the Blenny. He's sassy. I love him. And he likes to sit on top of the stony encrusting corals. And they don't sting very bad. So he just sits there and tries to boss around the other fish. So this is a pulsing xenia coral, which I will show you how they move in a minute. And then this is Cyphastra, really cool encrusting coral. And I don't remember the name of that coral. I hate that I don't remember the name of my coral, but I'm terrible at remembering the names of them. I just like looking at them. They're pretty, and I know their physiology, cannot remember their names. This is a brain coral, which is a big solitary coral that doesn't attach to a substrate. It sits on the sand and builds its own stony rock to sit on. And we'll talk about that next time. These are my anemones. It used to be just this one, and I have a clownfish that is symbiotic with it, that has a relationship with it that it hosts. And then I also have this porcelain anemone crab. When I had just the one anemone, the fish and the crab fought over this anemone like you wouldn't believe, and it was crazy. And then suddenly one day I had two anemones. My anemone had split. So now the clownfish hosts in one of them, the crab hosts in the other one, and everybody's now happy. It's great. And here's a really funny thing. Here's a really interesting thing. So these anemones will sting these other corals anytime that their tentacles drift in the current in my tank. They'll sting the corals and kill them. Corals fight all the time. Anemones, corals, it's a biological warfare going on down there for space. And these two, they will drift, their tentacles will drift into each other, and they don't sting each other because they're genetically identical. So anemones can recognize themselves, they don't sting themselves, and they can recognize their symbiont. So if they've got a clownfish or an associated crab, their behavioral biology is weird and we don't understand it, but for some reason they don't sting their symbiont. They recognize them. They have these thigmoreceptors that somehow know, nope, that's my fish. I like that fish. That fish can live with me. So anyway, if you guys can tell, just I nerd out like on the daily. And then this is a little video, I hope you can see that, of my pulsing xenia. And on these, this colony is now huge. Each polyp goes like this. Each polyp pulses like a little hand. We don't really know why they do that, but the hypothesis is that they're moving water through the colony to do more gas exchange and catch plankton. We're not sure if they have mouths. I keep reading that they don't have mouths. They strictly live on the sugar made by their algae, which I will talk about next time. Okay, I'll stop show and tell. Okay. Any questions? Okay, let me know if you have any questions. So your assignment today, there's 2 reading assignments. I'm sorry, I'm also not sorry, because these are fascinating. Both of them are on Canvas. They are titled Cnidarian Reading and Cnidarian Reading and Questions. So 2 separate assignments that you'll need to read the articles and then answer some questions, okay? And those are due Thursday, the 22nd. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you have a wonderful week, and can't wait to see you guys again soon. Be sure you wear your masks, be good, be safe, and be kind.